Chelsea season review, here it is, and there is a lot to talk about, so let's get straight into it. The bottom line is, it is not good enough. If you want the short answer, it is very, very obvious that finishing in 10th place in the end in the league with no European football is a very, very clear and utter failure of this project under Blueco. There has been protests this year, some of which are justified, some of which maybe aren't. But the reality is, you look back on this season and there's so much to unpack. How we've gone through Maresca, we've gone through the very short Rosinia era, the 6 Prem losses in a row. But what we've got to remember, and this is probably the most mental thing about the season for Chelsea, is that less than 12 months ago, on the 13th of July last year, we were crowned Club World Cup champions. Champions of the world, the biggest individual prize payout of any club football tournament in history, was less than 12 months ago. And I'll be honest, you can say what you want about this current ownership, but in that moment that we won the Club World Cup, I, for the first time, actually believed that these owners were onto something. What they're trying to do, and listen, we've got to accept it to some degree. What they've tried to do, they're trying a new model. They are trying to win trophies with a young, exciting squad. It's an old saying, you don't win anything with kids. And to some degree, we disproved that model in that moment of winning the Club World Cup. Obviously, we won the Conference League as well, which is a nice little cherry on the top. Obviously, we're expected to win that competition. So for me, that's not a big deal. But winning the Club World Cup absolutely was a massive deal. And as much as rival fans will say, it doesn't matter, trust me, when the entry price to get into that tournament is winning the Champions League, trust me, that is a serious competition. When you beat the best team in the world at the time 3-0 in a cup final, trust me, that's a big deal. And it's really unthinkable and it's unfathomable. It's laughable that we're sitting here less than 12 months later with a complete and utter capitulation. Now look, the Enzo Maresca situation, I think a lot of the fan base, there was doubters of Maresca online, as there always is. But the doubters were starting to turn to believers when we won that Club World Cup. And everyone felt a bit of a love for Enzo Maresca. Or at least not love, but belief that actually we were a club who could compete. And what we've seen this season is the complete and utter reversal of that. And it's honestly baffling and frustrating at how quickly we've unravelled as a club. Because we do have young, exciting talent. We do have that. Cole Palmer, yes, he's dipped off this season, but he is still world class. You've got the signing of Esteval. There's so many positives in there. João Pedro, again, what a signing he's been. So there's been so many positives throughout the season and moments of brilliance. But the bottom line is, the project, as of right now, is not working. To finish mid-table, to not have any European football next season is a complete and utter failure. So however you want to analyse this season, it's not been good enough. If you want to throw the Club World Cup in and say it's this season, it makes that conversation a little bit more interesting. But it's not been good enough. And what we've seen is players giving up. We've seen players not want to play under Liam Rosinia. We've seen players publicly come out and slate the club for how the Maresca situation was handled. And by the way, looking at the Maresca situation, what I will say, I'm not going to completely stick up for the owners. But what we've seen play out with Maresca going to City and the fact he'd been approached by City twice and he had to tell the board, I do think there's more to that story. I'm not saying the board are innocent, but what I'm saying is Maresca was clearly frustrated at the time with the ownership. Then he got approached by City and then suddenly the whole thing kicked off and he got sort of sacked or let go, whatever you want to call it. I think Maresca's behaviours were potentially a little bit snaky. So let's not forget that. We've got to try and be as fair as we can. But the bottom line is that was a manager that the players started to believe in and were fighting for. And then we lost all of that with a bit of bad form and the explosion. So that is really what ultimately led to our demise this season. Rosinia, honestly, I don't hate the guy. I think he's a good manager and he was thrown in the deep end in shark-infested waters without a paddle or life raft. And what happened then was expected. What I will say is if we look now to the future and reviewing this season and moving on, basically, what I do like from the board is the quick acquisition of Xavi Alonso. This is what this club needs. This is the style of manager that this club needs. Rosinia, you can call it aura, you can call it experience, you can call it whatever you want. Xavi Alonso has it. Liam Rosinia did not have it. I think Enzo Maresca did have a bit of it. But Xavi Alonso, what he has is not just proof as a manager that he can be successful. What he achieved with Leverkusen was absolutely sensational, by the way. I don't care what anyone says. Unbelievable for a young up-and-coming manager. What he achieved as a player is undisputable. Literally, some of the biggest clubs in the world, all of the biggest trophies in the world. So the good thing with him is he has the aura, he has the respect, he has the knowledge. He's been managed by Pep, Mourinho, all those world-class coaches. So if there's anyone who's set up for success as a manager, it is Xavi Alonso. And the good thing is with these players, these young players, when times are tough, when we go through a bad spell, you need a manager like Xavi Alonso who has the experience to be able to tell the players, no. I have succeeded. I know more than you. So with all due respect, shut up and listen to me. And that is what Liam Rosinia didn't have because he didn't have the aura either as a manager or as a player. And Xavi Alonso solves both of those issues. So I'm happy with the signing of Xavi Alonso. What we need to see to progress this club forward is that manager change. We've seen Xavi Alonso's title go from head coach to manager. That is critical. But what we will see in the summer is how serious this board are about realising they were wrong and completely redoing the system. So for me, there's a little bit of optimism in there that says Xavi Alonso, with them readjusting their approach, they have come out publicly, the ownership, and said we got it wrong. We'll see how serious they are in the summer. But if they back Xavi Alonso as a manager, bring in signers that he wants, fit his system, this club, I believe, will be back in the next couple of years. If we do not do that and the ownership refuse to adjust their model and want all the control, I think we are set up for a banter era for the next, we don't know how long, maybe 5 years. So I'm still optimistic. I'm absolutely fuming at how this season's gone, really disappointed. But I like the fact that they've gone and got Xavi Alonso ahead of other clubs. They've accepted wrongdoing. We will see if they, as I said, if they believe that in the window. But that's my take on the season and the future. What do you guys think of that? If you're a Chelsea fan, obviously, make sure you're following my channel. I'm a season ticket holder, regular content. And if you're not, let me know your thoughts on Chelsea's season. You know the drill.